being that he never applied before, and he's talking from back in 2009, that they don't do that anymore, or they're not taking any application for that anymore. I mean, how could that work if they have a law saying that you can apply and there was no definite time to apply for it? You can apply anytime. So I don't know how that one fitting in that. Lately, I am finding out that different offices are making up laws as they go.
And not only that, interpreting laws as they're passed.
Yeah.
They read in the law and say, well, you can't do this and you can't do that, and it's a question of whether or not the law actually say that. And I think one of the things that may have to happen is some type of legislative ombudsman's office that could handle these problems or take these calls in a centralized manner, because I'm sure the calls are going in to all 15 senators with people having problems with their homes, with their loans. And I anticipate we will get a centralized way to address that and get a better gauge on how it's affecting the community as a whole, as opposed to one-by-one individuals, because it's easy to pick people off one by one. But once we get a centralized way to measure these, to collect these complaints and measure the impact, I suspect we'll get a legislative response.
Yeah, but on top of that, too, I think the office of the tax office should be able to have a checklist of issues that property owners could be better educated on, such as this, because it helps for them to understand. But I understand what he was saying, that they're being told one thing. Okay, and it's almost like, again, a monitoring type of situation, which is, especially in these times when taxpayers are, for the lack of a better word, burdened with paying three taxes in 1 year. You know, I agree with you. There should be an office of where there's a repository of information, and to be able to assist property owners in their queries and their the difficulties regarding tax matters.
And it needs to be outside the executive branch, because that's where the problems are showing up.
The second thing to that is that sometimes you call these offices, and when you have these kind of issues, they dodging you. Or they're in the field, or they're out. I mean, I could tell you, I've been doing some research for the past week, and I've been calling certain offices, man, and for 3 weeks I call the same office, and I can't get the person that is responsible. So we probably need to get a second and a third person.
In this day and age, I don't understand why there's not a second and a third person, because cross-training is very, very
you're looking for answers
commonplace.
I mean, somebody could answer the phone call in the office and
like, we don't answer this one, no. Morning, Carla. Good morning, Carla.
Morning.
Good morning.
How are you? Three wonderful people doing this morning.
We're good. What about you?
I holding on, you know. I holding on.
Good thing.
Brad Bacchanal. Hey, the issue pertaining to the hotel bill. I think Randy made some solid points after the fact on the radio, but I don't remember if he brought those concerns to the public prior to voting on that.
Oh, yes, he did.
He's been consistently. He's been consistent.
The reactions to it would verify that. There have been some very heated reactions from advocates of that bill. So he has been making that point. I mean, I can recall at least one shouting match.
Right. So other than a shouting match, did he like go to the public, like have a town meeting? Did he put the article in the newspaper? Did he take out that type of thing?
No, he challenged it on the floor in committee.
Not only that, I remember he even had press releases on it. Okay?
Yes, he had what?
He had press releases on it. He spoke on the floor about. Yes, he did.
No. I'm saying I don't remember. I'm not saying he didn't. You know.
No. I'm just telling you though that all that he's done. I mean,
he made some very good points. You know, the protection of the increasing of the value of the property, and we only receiving whatever the arrangement is. I mean, he made some good points today, but, you know, for any senator going forward, man, if you have this powerful, you know, articulate plan, you know, you got to find a way to get it to the people. You know, and whether he did a press release or, I don't know, did he do the press release in a newspaper or on a particular radio station? I mean,
we send it to all of them.
Carla,
It goes to all of them, but we don't control them.
Who wants to
Okay.
play?
I don't know.
And we have some
I know
media
for a
outlets
fact
that
there
do
was a press release because there was a reaction by the proponent of the legislation to the press release.
Right.
And there are some media outlets, let them remain unnamed for the time being, who routinely do not publish in either electronic or print media his positions on these issues. And that needs to be taken into account because we...
Just consider all the radio stations going forward because there's some other up-and-coming media outlets now that would love to get information out to the people. You know, because like I said this morning, I've never heard such a detailed, informed plan from Ronnie. Like that guy is a sleeping giant, man. What he's been doing?
The interesting thing about it is he did that on the floor, and they kept it in committee, and wait for it to cool off a while, and then they brought it again. But that rundown of past mistakes by this government, by our territory, was done right in Fredericksted, in the legislature, and it caused them to back off for a while, and they came back around.
Yeah, let me piggyback a little bit on what Roy was saying right there, because, you know, with these issues that he has there, and they're so great, he has to try to convince coming to the public is one thing, but trying to convince his colleagues that this is good for the Virgin Islands. You know, he take a beating. I hear a caller, this guy does call himself, I think the mayor of Fredericksted or something, and they went on a rampage that we bad for business, we trying to mash up business coming into the Virgin Islands. But why should we sell our souls, you know, just to invite somebody here? I mean, we seeing the impact of it right now with Diageo, Home Depot, Hess, you know, where we give so much and receive so little. Even some of these EDC companies, I mean, they get these big tax exemption, and our poor, small Ivan ice cream getting ready to shut down because he can't get none.
Caller, to your initial point, I would ask you to consider this. You appreciated the statement he made this morning. He made that statement in the legislature, yet that bill got, 10, 11 votes. What does that tell you?
Well, it tells me that there's a serious displaced understanding of how to go forward, or some people's mind was already made up prior to any discourse that might have taken place. But I believe, and you know that, let me give you an example. You remember the Alpine situation?
Yeah.
Okay, let me take you back to that. Prior to the public outcry, the senators had that bill voting 11, in fact 12 to 3 or 11 to 4. Let me tell you, that measure Alpine went to the PSC in October 2009. Listen, signed, sealed by the PSC, signed, sealed by the governor, signed, sealed by WAPA, and the senators were saying, Payne, we're going to pass this thing no matter what. Let me tell you now. He said, okay, no problem. In 4 months, we had the senators in there scrambling. Why? We took the issue to the people. The people did the bidding for us. We just gave them the facts. And they start calling. They start rating. They start doing these things. And the senators were overwhelmed. Some of the senators even changed their vote on the floor before it came back around. So once you get the people involved, anything could happen. Hello?
Why aren't the people involved in this hotel situation? It affects us all. I mean, I soundly and urgently involve the people to become involved.
Press releases is not enough today. You got to go on Facebook. You got to go on the internet. You got to buy time if you need to buy 15 or 20 minutes on WS and all the other stations. I'm going to call no name. Go buy time and take the fight to the people. That's what we did with Alpine. Alpine was a done deal.
Who is the we? That you refer to?
The environmental community, SEA, Synchro Association, East.
So who's a constituency for holding on to our tax money? I mean, is there such an organization that would challenge this kind of policy? Because they need to get in gear.
Well, see, my thing is this. You don't have, we don't have to create, it's so late in the fight now, we don't have to create any organization. What we have to do is get the information to the people. Most of the people who fought against Alpine never heard the word pet coke until the Alpine deal, you know. But trust me, we got such a jump on WAPA and herd and waste management. We were on the pavement pounding it for about 90 days before WAPA called a town meeting. By the time the town meeting came around, we had already swayed 60 to 70% of the people. The deal was dead. By the time they voted for it in March, and we had done file a lawsuit already, so we already planned to go to court. However, but by the time they had the vote, you should have seen them, the senators in there. We went to the hearing strong. And you should have seen them bouncing around the room. Hill and Sanders voted for it and they still lost. Wayne James voted for it and it still lost. Turland voted for it and it still lost. We fought them tooth and nail to make sure that pet coke does not burn on the island of St. Croix. And
does we feel that strongly about this hotel bill? If so, I welcome we.
But no, but that's what I'm saying. If Ronnie Russell feels this way, is so strong, come to the people with the facts and let us take up the fight for him. Don't fight with them if he could deliver what he did this morning to us. This should have been out 3 months ago.
Well,
buy an ad, buy a time, buy it, and it'll pick up steam, and before you know it, them guys will be running for cover.
And I'm going to say this. This is going to make some people uncomfortable, but he did on the floor.
Maybe he didn't buy an ad, but I could tell you, in every public forum, with every opportunity he had, he was there. I don't know if people want paying attention, but he was there from the beginning saying, wait a minute, protections. I want hotels here. We want hotels here. But if the government is going to forgo on its tax revenues, we need protection for the people.
Right. Well, I just thought I would just.
And he wasn't alone. Senator Richards had some serious concern about that bill as well.
Right.
So I'm saying, folks, you got to listen to our senators and respond. Don't wait.
Yeah, but like I say, for me, I just want to see more of a public push. Even though you say he mentioned it on the floor, which is fine. We got to get the information to the people and let the people take up the fight. Let the people beat them senators down into submission to get the things done. And from what the senator did shared this morning, that's why I called in. I was like, wow.
And we appreciate your observation and we appreciate your articulation of it. Because it really underscores his push and his commitment to make sure he expose every aspect of an issue to the people for enlightenment and for education.
Right. Well, hey, y'all keep up the good work. One more quick question. Did the senator vote in favor of the bill that Nelly brought forward so that the senators could have access to the bank accounts that the Virgin Island government have? What was his vote?
No, he didn't vote for that.
He voted
He didn't vote for that, but let me say this. While that measure failed, I really think collectively the senators should contemplate a mechanism or a way to really ensure that the information that they're receiving, and I know the post auditor has certain authority within, with regard to the finances of the government, and they should arm the post-audit division with the necessary tools to do so, including staffing.
Right, because this $600 million that's being purported in banks in New York and banks in the Virgin Islands, I'm just hang up because I know some great callers about to call in, but just at some point give us some feedback on that because there's some illegalities going on there when it comes to